This week we take a visit to our favorite Swiss vintage watch specialist to see what kind of crazy watches he has in his shop. So a trip to Geneva for the auctions would not be complete if we did not stop at our very good friends, the Davidoff brothers, although we only have the one Davidoff brother today, Mr. Sacha Davidoff, to talk about some watches, and he actually proposed a nice little list of things we could chat about for this video. I think they're great topics. We're going to start with topic number one, which is right on brand with his bracelet, which is Only Watch. If you guys have not heard Only Watch, which is a auction for charity, which all of the brands create a special piece unique and then donate it to the auction house to be auctioned for charity.
Christie's.
Right. And they've been doing it for how long?
2005, I want to say.
Oh, wow. So even longer. So, wow,
Yeah.
We're talking almost 20 years now.
But it's gone through several auction houses.
It used to rotate auction houses, if I recall.
No, it just kind of like changed hands at some point. The auction house taking care of it incurs a lot of costs.
Right.
That they're donating as well. It's good marketing, but it's also a lot of work.
Right.
And it also takes away maybe potentially like money that would be going to the auction. So it really is a charitable contribution on their part, their time, energy, marketing budget, the room that they rent, all that stuff.
This year there were some spectacular watches that were created. I've actually never attended an Only Watch sale in person because there's usually like 1,000 plus people in the room and I didn't want to deal with it. But I was planning on going this year because of the watches that were entered. I thought some of them were absolutely spectacular. And lo and behold, 2 weeks before the sale, it was canceled. If you guys have not heard, postponed, excuse me, if you've not heard the news, there were two influencers on Instagram, one being Periscope, Jose Pedreca, and the other being a great collector named Santa Laura, who had raised a lot of questions and doubts as to the, I guess not the legitimacy of the auction, but more of
transparency of their reporting. And so basically saying that, although they were based in Monaco and that the regulations for a charity organization in Monaco were much less stringent than in the US or other places where you have to report everything publicly.
Right.
And he basically was asking for transparency and saying where did this money go? Who are these companies that are getting the money? And how much of the money are you taking out of that for yourself before it goes to the cause?
Right.
Which is something that a lot of charity organizations have to answer
by default.
But it's like a very, very normal thing. This is nothing crazy to ask for, because when you look at like a charity organization in the United States, like let's say United Way, and you look and do some research about when you give $1, how much of that is burnt up by gigantic salary for the CEO, all the expenses, their marketing budget, the whatever, all those how many cents on the dollar actually go to the cause. And in that case, it's one of the worst. I think it's at like 10 cents on the dollar.
Right.
So 90% goes to expenses and then 10% actually goes to the cause. This is not the case for them, not at all, not even close. A lot of money has gone to the cause, and a lot of money, which is Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and only affects boys and has a 100% mortality rate. So, and an affliction that Luc Pétabino, who organizes it,
his son was affected by it.
His son was affected and passed away from this, so something very close, near and dear to his heart. He used to be in charge, or the founder, I believe, of Monaco Yacht Show.
Right.
And so the auction began at the Monaco Yacht Show.
Okay.
So it started in Monaco.
Right.
Way back in the day, Antiquorum used to handle the auction for them.
Okay.
It then went 1 year, I believe in 2015. Don't quote me on that, we can check. To Phillips.
Okay.
And then has been with Christie's ever since.
Right. So I think these questions were raised about a month prior to the sale. Only Watch released a statement answering some of them, but I think unfortunately for them, the timetable was not amazing for them to be able to really get into the details of the questions that were raised prior to the sale. So they chose to postpone it. And as far as I've heard in the chatter since I've arrived in Geneva, that they've returned all of the watches to the brands, because apparently the way it works...
They're in the process of it.
Right. Apparently the way it works is that when the brand creates a watch, they then donate it to Only Watch, who auctions it, so it becomes the property of Only Watch. And they've since returned, or in the process of turning right into Andrea from Ferland Maury, who created an amazing secular perpetual calendar specifically for this beautiful watch.
With very Julien Tixier.
Right. Who is very excited to sell through Only Watch for charity, and he got it returned. I saw it on his wrist last night. He was very disappointed, but the watch is spectacular, and I can't wait for him to make a production version of it for the public.
So
but anyways,
that watch is never going to be produced in that configuration.
Right.
It has a special function on the dial for the leap year, which he said he's never doing again.
Okay.
It was way too
expensive, costly, right?
Sure. A nightmare. This affects a lot of the small brands that need that. First of all, spend a lot of money. Once they've made that donation, it's done. They don't benefit from the watch, after that.
Well, they get exposure,
only by marketing.
Sure.
And essentially being like, like any charity, people donate publicly to charities because it's good for their image.
Right.
On one side. This goes above that. It basically, for a small brand, can make you known.
Right.
It puts you in front of so many eyes.
And had that watch sold for $250,000, there's a lot more eyeballs on Furlan Mori,
Correct. And also, it's for a good cause.
For a good cause.
I mean, you're talking about sick children. I've been kind of on the fence. I do believe that charities should be transparent. I do believe that in past years, once they sold a Patek Philippe two Only Watches ago, it's a biannual sale, so it's every 2 years. Once they sold that Patek for over 30 million, they should have right away been like, listen, the needs for our cause, like there's only so much that you need, for a certain cause like this, which is, small in proportion. And I think from what I understood from the documents that I read, was opening it up to other charities or other causes or other sicknesses, essentially.
Sure.
Through Only Watch, basically, not only for DMD, which is the abbreviation for the sickness, but also for other inflammatory diseases and cancer and, other things that afflict children, but just was never communicative about it.
Right.
Like saying like, okay, guys, here, I sold this, 30 million plus Patek Philippe. Our cause needs 15 million a year or 15 million for the 2-year period or whatever. Everything that goes above that, we're going to find other causes.
Right.
Or maybe ask every brand and be like, listen, 10% of whatever we generate in the sale or 20% of whatever we generate is going to go to our cause.
Sure.
But the other 80%, every brand chooses their favorite cause, their charity organization that they really hold near and dear to their heart, because that's their way of making an extra donation, and personalized.
Right.
I thought that would have been a great kind of way to separate each brand. I don't know if that's fair, because then you have 30 million going to Patek Philippe, and then you have like 200,000 going to this one.
Right.
So it's not entirely fair. No exact answer on how to solve this problem, and I don't know what's going to happen to the actual watches. That's the biggest question today.
The way the dominoes started kind of falling was the first major brand to pull out, I guess due to lack of transparency and the lack of information provided, was Audemars Piguet, which is a big one. There were rumors that Richard Mille was on the brink of pulling out. F.P. Journe came out in support of Only Watch, saying that they did not question the integrity of the organization.
He wrote an open letter.
Correct. And then there were rumors of other brands that were on the brink waiting to see how it all played out. And I think the fear was that if a big brand like Patek Philippe also pulled out, the whole thing would have collapsed.
So rumors were that the day of the change was that Tudor was going to pull out.
Okay. Which would have been a big deal.
Which would have been disastrous.
Right.
Knowing that already AP pulling out, that their last result was $1 million plus.
Right.
Maybe even 3 million, I think. That's a big chunk of money to take away from a charity organization. So if you had pulled out before, it was because there was a lack of transparency and they were like, we want to see what happens.
Right.
If a watch company now takes this watch and goes to, let's say, Philips and says like, let's just, I want to auction it
and we'll donate the money.
And we'll donate the money to another children's organization,
right.
Because I've already made the watch. I've already donated the watch.
Right.
I would like this to go to a cause as soon as possible.
Right.
The issue is that then you're basically saying, I think that Only Watch is guilty.
Right.
So they're kind of obliged at this point to wait for the KPMG audit to finish.
Right.
And the results, they're always going to find something.
Right.
Like, oh, you put like too many taxis or like dinners on your thing or whatever.
You stayed at Four Seasons too often.
Yes.
Whatever. So I think, I mean, listen, I'm agreeing with you. I think it's like a wait and see approach. I think it's great that people were questioning and wanting more transparency and seeing where the money actually was going. I discussed earlier, I think it would have been more prudent to wait till after the sale. It's not like the money was going to disappear right after the sale. They could have raised these questions after and done an audit right after. So at least the money was raised at some point and then could have been allocated.
Christie's could have held the money in escrow.
Right.
And just been like, well, we're waiting for the results to dispense the money
to
the charity. I also think that basically putting Only Watch on blast a month before the auction was unfair. I think that the only reason that this was done so publicly was a twofold. One, to basically put the pressure on.
Right.
Because if they had maybe messaged them privately, they probably wouldn't even have replied or dignified with an answer. Who knows? And Another thing is that like it, I felt like it was kind of like a popularity contest type of thing, which kind of I was annoyed with.
Well, I mean, Jose is in the business of calling everybody's attention to problems in the industries. That's nothing new.
Yeah.
And we commend him for it most of the time. Like, he does a fantastic job researching and pointing out issues that need to be talked about. Most recently the Omega scandal.
Before that was a bunch of the brands that he was basically who he hurt in the end. I thought that could have been handled a lot more elegantly.
Sure.
And given them time, like basically, okay, I want answers, but like, why did you ask those questions a month before the sale? This is an auction that's like way like years and years and years and years old,
right?
And the really, really big result was that Patek that sold for over 30 million. I think the Grand Chime,
and it was the most expensive wristwatch ever sold.
Grandmaster Chime with the salmon dial, unique piece. That's been 4 years, bro.
Right.
Yeah. That was before COVID. That was 2019. So like, you have time like to like think about this and like to start checking into it and whatever. I mean, benefit of the doubt also. I mean, I know Luke personally. I think he's a great guy. I think that overall everything is going to come out clear. I think that the stain is there now.
Yeah, we hope.
Once you've accused somebody so publicly, like, you can't recuperate your reputation entirely as it was before.
So to wrap up this conversation, because we have a few more topics to get to, you think Only Watch survives this and comes out the other side and we'll see another sale for Only Watch?
It would have to be a very, 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 very solid, like there has to be a lot of solidarity.
The audit.
All the brands.
Right.
I think the audit's going to be fine.
Right.
Like, I think that generally that thing's going to be fine. I don't think that this is the guy who like took money for himself and blah, blah, whatever. I think that whatever he did, people are going to spit on him like, oh, you took $100K salary.
Right.
It's like, this is a fundraiser.
Right.
Like, if you ask any fundraising organization for any charity, you got to spend money to bring it.
You always got to read the fine print. All these charities on Facebook where you could, donate money and then win a car or whatever. If you read the fine print, only a small fraction of that money actually goes to charity. And the rest are for
spending
operating
10K a chair for like a charity, gala or whatever.
Right.
I mean, the restaurant that's like catering it is also making money, and then like it's going to cost them this and it's going to cost them that, and then like the musician that's going to come and like animate the event.
Right.
Like, you gotta there's money involved. Like, it's not like just purely the guy's not living in a shack somewhere.
Right. So moving on, topic number 2, which Sacha recommended we talk about, which is fine for me because it's a little bit of self-promotion, but not so much, is the new WhatsApp group chat that we have started for collectors. So I got this idea, actually, I can't lie. I got this idea from Alex from Luxury Bazaar, who started a broadcast channel on his Instagram just to reach more people, which is great. I started it within a day. We had 1,300 people subscribed to our Instagram broadcast at Mental Watches. The problem with the broadcast channel is that nobody could reply. Only I could message and you could read it and then you could message me privately, but we wanted to make it more interactive, make it more community-based. And so I opened it up to a WhatsApp channel, which currently is sitting at right around 400 members. The problem with that is I think WhatsApp caps it at 500. It's a twofold chat and we'll give you the reasons why. First portion of it is just general discussion for everybody in the community, whether you're a dealer or dealer end user client, and it's mostly end user clients, not many dealers in there.
So somebody asked, where can I get this bezel? And then I was answering kind of like, oh,
yeah, it's community. Most people every day they're waking up, oh, this is on my wrist today, and then talking about the watches, talking about general events in the watch world, giving other people advice, very community-based driven. And then obviously there is a second portion of the chat for watch sales where myself and my team at Mental Watches will be offering fresh inventory at reasonable prices. The reason for this is because everybody's always heard and asks me all the time about these famous dealer WhatsApp group chats where watches are trading hands so quickly.
Wholesale.
Somebody, posts a watch for sale and it's sold like that, at a reasonable price, dealer to dealer. And we wanted to kind of give a taste to that to a more retail audience because it's fun. So there are already watches now being listed for sale. We've already sold a bunch. Jordan sold a bunch and gotten some people great watches at great prices. To make it more sustainable and interesting for everybody, we will be opening it up to select dealers to also list some inventory. At the beginning, it will be obviously the Davidoff brothers here, Kirill from Lunar Oyster, and Andrew Shear of Shear Time. We hope to expand it in the future, but in order to maintain it, we're still let's consider this beta testing for now. We're going to cap it at that and then hope to, at least in terms of sales, offer a service where retail clients can list their watches or list it on their behalf, kind of as an escrow service so people are more comfortable transacting and buying from a person who's not us, an established business or brick and mortar shop. But more so, the community chat is excellent. Everybody at my phone is blowing up every day, and people are excited.
I was very impressed because it is a very nice community.
Yeah, there's like, no negativity
no
so far.
Only
everybody's very helpful and exciting.
Every watch I've posted, people have been like, "Wow, that's so cool!" Blah blah. Never seen that. Yada yada yada.
Yeah. And it's all types. It's expensive watches. It's inexpensive watches.
Somebody posted a $3,500 watch that I had never heard of.
Right.
And I've been like looking.
No, but there's even cool. Some people post things. There's Seiko's in there. It's great. There is no judgment. Cool watch is a cool watch. I've always said that. So as of filming this right now, and this video won't come out for a couple weeks, there's probably around 100 spots left. I'm sure it'll be half that or even less by the time this video comes out. If you are interested in joining, message Jordan on Instagram and follow him, please. Jordan_Menta. If there's room, we will absolutely include you. And as time goes on, we will probably cycle members in and out, people who aren't as engaged and active, especially on the sales side. So if you don't get in or the space does fill up, just send us a note and we'll start a list of people who are interested in joining when space becomes available. Hopefully WhatsApp also increases their membership base, but I think right now it's 500. And within a week or so of the chat being active, it's already almost there.
Like the early COVID chats, are you planning to charge for the sales side?
For dealers to list there, like you?
No, for privates to be on that chat.
No, absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely free.
Because that was the case for us, where the first 2 years we were being charged for the
dealer chat. The vintage dealer chat was pay based, but absolutely not. This will be free of charge to anybody who wants to enter, and hopefully some people can get some watches at more affordable price points. And I'll even be listing aged inventory and taking losses, from time to time, just to give people a better price point, because obviously it's not selling at the price point listed on the website or something. But I think it'll be great, and I really the community section is absolutely fantastic so far.
It's always difficult for us to, when we have year-end stock or 2 year-end, it's been a couple of years that we've had a watch in stock, prices shift. It is always a very sensitive issue to reduce prices on the website, because people will then get upset that like it hurts the market, blah blah, and there was like a more discreet way of doing that. So your only option is basically putting it on a dealer chat. But when there's a deal to be had, why not give it to a private or a collector
who's going to enjoy it?
Who's going to be delighted to benefit from the times where he was having to pay higher prices, has also probably taken losses on certain things the past few years since COVID, and is now basically like, okay, great, now I get to get a deal.
Yeah, I mean, listen, us as dealers are no stranger to taking losses on watches, especially as markets shift, markets go up, markets go down. But we're all affected the same way, whether you're a private client or a dealer. If the market moves up, your watch and our watches are worth more, our stock is worth more. If the market moves down, our stock's worth less, and the collection of somebody is worth less. And we're all equal in that regard. No one's immune to market economics, just like if it was real estate, crypto, cars, whatever, Anyways, to close that up, guys, I hope to see a few more of you in there. Again, if you're interested, message Jordan on Instagram, Jordan_Mento, or send him an email, jordan@mentowatches.com if you are not on Instagram. Moving on, we're going to deviate a little bit from just general discussion, and Sacha's going to show us some new inventory. I got a sneak peek, and there's some really cool stuff in here.
One of my favorite watches value buys is probably
I was going to say, let's talk about the Breguets first. You got 3 of them in there, and I love all 3 of them. So I'm going to hold them up to the screen, but there will also be pictures for you guys, and we could link the listings.
Go ahead.
Here they are. And walk us through them.
Okay, so the first that I'm going to talk about is the Breguet 7027. So La Tradition.
These have become really popular and they're great value. Go tell us about it.
So I think that first, Breguet was basing this off a lot of the pocket watch designs that they had at the time. The grain finish on the movement, the way that the balance cock is set up, the parachute shock absorbing mechanism on top of the balance cock. On the back, there's another power reserve indicator. There's 2 power reserve indicators, one on the front, one on the back. And it's really, really reminiscent of their old pocket watch designs, which is an inspiration today for a lot of the independents. So if you do not have the budget for Roger Smith or
AK06 Acrivia
or an Acrivia or any of the a lot of
you can't get a Simon Brett allocation because they're all long gone.
So if you look at the back of Kari's watches or Romain Gauthier or these guys that are really kind of basing a lot of the design aesthetics or the open aesthetics on what you would have seen if you opened a pocket watch.
Right.
I think that for the $15K budget full set of what you're getting here on the wrist, it's a nice size. I think it's 38, 39 millimeter watch. Yeah. It has the traditional coin edge that you see on the Breguets. It has a traditional hand guilloche dial, silver with the Roman numerals. It has the Breguet hands, as we call them. So the blued steel hands with the little circle at the top.
Do you have any idea what the retail price on this watch was when it came out? Because I know it's been in production for a while.
I want to say about the same.
No, it was more than that. No. We'll look it up.
Back then when it came out or today?
Today. Well, let's say what the retail price would be today.
Today is probably in the 20s.
Yeah, I would say 20 to 30.
The new ones.
Yeah.
But they're bigger. They're more... I feel like these are more pure, like the earlier ones from the... This came out in 2005. Right. I think that the early versions are kind of my favorite. Yellow gold, white gold.
No, I asked because I was shocked. I was selling a yellow gold tourbillon with 3357.
Yes.
And they still produce that watch, and I was selling it for around $40,000. I looked on their website. The retail price is $108,000. And it's just the bargains, the value you could get with Breguet right now is absolutely insane.
Yes.
It's such a storied brand. So many important people have worked there.
And the production numbers were very, 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 very
And they're beautiful watches. And, I think they fell out of favor with collectors while people wanted Audemars Piguet, Patek, and this and that. Breguet was a very older clientele base, at least I noticed several years ago. Now, the last two of these that I've sold have gone to, I would say, 30 or under, 35 or under.
Yes.
So walk us to the next one. I see you're holding a tourbillon.
So speaking of a 30, this is the 3358.
Okay.
So the follow-up to the 3357, which just had round diamonds on the bezel and on the lugs. This one has a unique dial configuration. It is guilloche'd, but it's on a mother of pearl base. There are Côte de Genève decorations around the register. And in the center of the register has a guilloche clou de Paris, which is the typical Breguet finishing on the dials.
Love it when he speaks French to us. And their finishing on the back is incredible too.
I'm getting old. Give me my loop. It's right there.
This?
Yes. We can all edit all this out, I hope. But if not, it's fine.
Well, now we're going to keep it in.
Am I allowed to say on this stuff?
You can. We'll bleep it.
Really? It's a 558 caliber, which now with the popularity of Daniel Roth has also brought a lot of the earlier... So this is a later one. This is from the 2000s. But the early 90s Breguets, so you have the Perpetual Calendar, you have the Tourbillon, where Daniel Roth was the head watchmaker, head of complications at Breguet.
Right.
La Fabrique du Temps, Jean Arnaud have relaunched Daniel Roth.
Right. Doing a fantastic job so far.
And they're doing a very, very, very good job. Gerald Genta coming soon at an even bigger price level.
But I actually spoke, we had dinner with somebody who's working in the department. I asked him point blank, are there going to be watches at more affordable price points for people who can't afford a $250,000 plus tourbillon or Genta? And he's like, yes, there will be, probably like in the 40 to 50K price point range. So,
but still
sadly not, in the 5 to 10K. That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
But at least there will be somewhat more accessible watches. Maybe not for everybody, for a very small percent. But
he's also using it as a vehicle to legitimize his complication, higher end watches for the Louis Vuitton Fabrique du Temps umbrella.
Right.
So with the Daniel Roth popularity coming back, you have a lot of people that are looking at Breguets and being like, these are interesting. But they're generally always a value buy.
Yes. I think it speaks to the market too, because every time I have one in stock, it sells very quickly. Both of these models I've had recently, not mother of pearl diamond, but just, more general 3350, 3357, and they sell absolutely very quickly. And then I think because it's just such a value when you really think about what the current market price is and what you're getting and what you can get in that price point, that's something similar. And you can't really get.
Well, it's the current product offering which makes these look extremely attractive. First of all, the sizes have gotten bigger.
Yep.
Second, the retail prices.
Perfect sizing. Perfect size. 36 or 38 millimeter. Perfect.
People have gone back to smaller sizes.
Right.
The retail prices versus what these are trading for on the second edition
is absolutely crazy. All right, so we have one Breguet left, albeit much earlier.
Yes, 1970s.
Very cool watch. What is that?
It's a Breguet. It's a Breguet cushion. So it has like I said before, the coin edge case. It has the typical Breguet cabochon crown. It has the Clou de Paris guilloche dial with the Roman numerals and the Breguet hands.
So steel or white gold?
White gold.
Oh, wow.
It's the only one I've been able to find in white gold.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I've seen it in yellow.
Strange.
I've seen it in yellow. And of course, once you have the white gold, people are like, oh, if you find it in yellow, let me know.
What? Much rather have it in white gold.
But kind of like an odd cushion case
oddball
watch. I emailed Breguet. They didn't find like the full register, but they found the reference and the year for me.
Okay.
Sorry, that's on the website.
It reminds me also of like similar Cartier that are heating up right now too, where you could just get a really simple time-only, different design, something a little out of the ordinary, not a simple round Calatrava, and have something unique. Like whoever buys that is going to be the only person that I know that's going to have it, you know?
It's the only one that I've ever seen in white gold.
Right. And what is your asking price on the site?
Right now, I believe it is 11.5 Swiss, which is probably around $13,000.
I mean, I don't see how you replicate something like that.
Yeah, so you look at 70s car. I based it off what would a 70s Cartier be in that vicinity.
Right.
Knowing how rare it is to find something like this in white gold during that time.
Right.
And we will see how that goes.
See how it goes. Okay, we have... I don't think we should talk about the Longue or the De Bethune. Well, awesome watches.
But modern.
And then just let's talk about more interesting things that the viewers might not have seen before or can not easily look up. So let's start with this guy. It is an Audemars Piguet bracelet.
So what is unique about this is that I have actually never seen this reference before with the integrated bracelet and
super cool
cord finish on the case side and no Roman numeral white ring around it.
No.
So they usually always have that.
Yeah.
And this one is actually just a hand engraved ring around. It took AP Boutique quite a bit of time to find the reference. It's a 14233BA. Never heard of it.
So you bought this watch just because you thought it was cool and you liked it. You knew nothing about it, I'm presuming. Right?
I had no idea.
I like that. I dig your
I like the size. So it's about a 0.5 millimeter bigger than the usual ones. It doesn't have that white Roman ring, which I usually can't stand.
Yeah, I think it's very monochrome with all straight gold, gold finishing, gold bracelet, everything gold, and it works, I think if this was broken up with a white ring, it loses a little bit of the luster.
Yes. I think it's more pure. I think it kind of like, it has that like vibe. You can tell that everything was like
this is produced circa 80s, correct?
The late 80s, yes.
Right.
So, and then you have the same base movement as the perpetual skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh, interesting.
So it's the ultra thin. It's an ultra thin skeleton in gold with a gold integrated bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. I mean, front and back.
And what's the price point on that?
Mid-20s.
Okay. I mean, I think in the Audemars Piguet, in the Audemars Piguet world, that's
not bad.
Sounds reasonable. I'll be honest, I don't know the market for those watches. I don't think we've ever sold one, so I can't say either way. But it sounds reasonable, like a gut feeling,
If it was in the catalog today, so I just compared it to what the Patek offering is, which is over 100K.
Wow,
for a skeleton bracelet. So I figured it must be worth a quarter of that.
I think, value. So speaking of skeletons, you already pulled this out to show us the movement. Tell us about this one. That's one of my favorite watches. But I'll let you take the route.
This AP came out in the mid 80s,
right?
Following the success of their 1978 launched ultra thin perpetual calendar, is what pretty much saved the brand. Most people think it's a Royal Oak. It is not.
Right.
They actually made more perpetual calendars than they did Royal Oaks.
Yeah, well, Royal Oak wasn't a commercially successful watch at the beginning,
In the volumes, it was not.
No, and it was expensive too. It was very, very expensive. And I think probably you could have gotten a perpetual at that time and around the same price point as a Royal Oak.
Correct.
So most people...
But it wasn't the skeleton that saved them. I mean, in the skeleton version, and they had 200 different versions. In the skeleton round case, they only made 200 of the first case, so 25558.
Right.
And then it was the 25668, which came out afterwards, which just had basically a better improved case, which was a bit more waterproof.
Right.
But perpetual calendars generally are not known for their water resistance.
Yeah, exactly. Nowadays, you're not buying it based on which one had a better waterproof case because it's not really relevant anymore.
Correct.
Presumably, no one should be going swimming with either this watch or the other reference. Doesn't matter. You're wearing this as a historic and piece of art.
So if I hold it to the Vacheron, you can see that this has what we call cream kind of off-white registers.
Right.
And these are white.
Right. So tell us about the Vacheron.
Okay, so the Vacheron is a similar base. The difference between the Vacheron...
Bought it for me.
Yes. The Vacheron and the AP, the main difference is that the Vacheron does not have a minutes ring. But it does indicate
It does have a fancy diamond bezel.
It does have a fancy diamond bezel. It does have a leap year indicated.
Right. That's an extremely rare watch. There's only a couple known of that Vacheron.
Correct. So this is actually unique. It's the only one known with a French calendar. There are 2 others known in yellow gold with diamond bezel.
Right.
And one in platinum with a diamond bezel, which was a Phillips in like 2017 or something.
Okay.
They're extremely rare.
Right.
On top of the skeleton already being rare, and the quantities are in the hundreds, or like, you know, in this configuration, maybe 50 or maybe, you know, 100 in yellow gold.
Right.
You know, so many, like, there's some where it's like 1 white gold watch was ever made. Like, the type of things where they're extremely rare. With the diamond bezel, forget it. It's like 5 made.
Right. In my research too, it was very hard. It was very difficult to track down other examples.
So, and there is, don't quote me on the reference, but there's a 5 in the middle there instead of a 0.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Number 1 with prices on both.
Yes.
And then I'll ask the follow-up question. How much are you asking for the AP? How much are you asking for the Vacheron?
In dollars or Swiss?
No, we talk dollars here.
I'm like terrible at math. So
ballpark.
Okay, so this is 65.
You could say Swiss. People can convert it at home. You guys could pull out your calculators.
So 65, you add 10%.
Sure.
Okay, 65 Swiss, so low 70s.
Right.
And this is 68 Swiss.
So the AP, 65 Swiss.
AP, 65 Swiss. Vacheron with diamond, 68 Swiss.
Okay.
3K difference.
A little different, right?
Archive certificate from Vacheron.
And it was
fully serviced and
exactly
refreshed. This one unpolished. I think it came from the original owner. I do not remember.
Yes.
Yes.
That also came from me.
Yes.
I listen.
Yes.
There's a lot of watches, and it also has the
box with the pin tool.
Exactly.
So 68, so mid 70s, I'd say in dollars.
Okay.
Not a huge difference.
Right.
But that is solely not based on rarity, and just because it's rare, doesn't mean it's more desirable.
Right.
And a lot of people would prefer the non-diamond version.
Right.
So it only adds a small premium, although it is incredibly rare to have a skeleton, French calendar, diamond.
Right. Because I've sold plenty of these. I've sold one of these.
Yes. The platinum one.
Okay, follow-up question.
No, I bought the platinum one, so separately.
I've sold 2 of the platinum ones. Follow-up question. Which one do you like better? If you were keeping one for yourself.
Aesthetically, I prefer the Vacheron opening.
Okay.
Technically, I kind of feel like a perpetual calendar should have the minutes.
Okay.
Since it has like the date, the day, and like the month.
Okay. So which one are you keeping? If you had to keep one.
So I already have a Vacheron with diamonds, and it kind of is.
As he rolls up his wrist to show us his amazing 222.
I think that these would make an aesthetically nicer pair. I think that I would go with the Vacheron for the uniqueness
of having the pair.
Of having kind of the theme. Although generally I tend to be partial to these registers. I prefer them over the white.
Mm-hmm.
I think that these registers with the cream and the minutes indication is kind of like easier on the everyday wearing.
I say Vacheron too, just because I know you, like you said, I agree with you. Rarity doesn't mean it's more desirable. I like that it's like a fraction bigger.
Yes.
And
it just seems that it's more open. Yeah.
I love owning things that like you can never find anywhere else.
Yeah.
I love that, you know? Okay, we have one more watch. To me, it is not a super attractive watch, but I guess they're popular because like I've seen a bunch now on Instagram. There's
Ugly Delicious.
Yeah.
Ugly Delicious.
We talked about this one in our video that I think I probably will come out before this, about a white ceramic one that you're going to be bidding on in Antiquorum. I will not be bidding on it. This is black ceramic.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this.
IWC, head watchmaker Kurt Klaus in the mid-80s developed this perpetual calendar chronograph, automatic with a quick set function at the crown. So there's no correctors. And the year indication was essentially
wildly convenient. I don't understand why more brands don't do that.
Maybe it was patented. Maybe it was just kind of like more fragile. Right. Who knows? The additional part that's interesting about this watch is the ceramic case.
Correct.
So it is debated whether...
For the era, I think it's why it's interesting.
It was the first ceramic case with Rado.
Okay.
So Rado claims that they had the first like commercially available ceramic case, and IWC debates that it's them. It's the same year.
Right.
The big difference is that this was for sure the first ceramic perpetual calendar.
Right.
For sure. Although since then, I think only AP has done that. It is a very uncommon material to use on a complication that they were trying to also make affordable at the time.
Right.
In the 80s during
quartz prices. Do you know what the retail price was that in the 80s?
It was high, but for a perpetual calendar chronograph, it was not.
Right.
And especially in a new material that was a gigantic pain to make, because the ceramics were discontinued in the early 90s.
Right.
Although the model, the Da Vinci perpetual calendar chronograph, lasted until 2003.
Right.
I think that they were just way too expensive to make. It was not a material.
And fragile.
Yes, it was not a material back then that was like readily available in the watch.
Right. So if you broke it, I'm sure it was a fortune to fix too.
It was the whole case.
Right, exactly.
The whole case has to be replaced. It's not something you can kind of like patch up.
No. But that's my point. Is that like,
but they're scratch resistant, which is kind of useful for a sportier complication. They do chip, they do crack, they do chip, and that's ceramic cases even today.
Right.
And you see that I've seen it on Hublots, I've seen it on Chanel, I've seen it on AP. Who dropped their? Was it Coup?
Eric Coup.
Yeah, dropped his like still perpetual AP.
And it was shattered into little pieces. Yeah, he posted on Instagram.
So yeah, there is the ups and downs, and I mean the benefits and obviously the risks involved. Albeit not everybody's a fan of the design. It was a really, really, really forward-thinking watch for the time,
right? And
opened up that segment or that thinking for other brands to then.
It was innovative.
It
was innovative, and it's cool to look at watches and see watches and buy watches that were ahead of their time, and see like what the future holds kind of thing. What are you guys asking for that watch, or what will it be listed for if it's not already listed?
It is already listed for 17.5 Swiss, and that is also because it is full set complete with box and papers.
Wow. No, I mean, listen, I don't know the market for this watch, and I have no dog in this fight, but that seems reasonable for what you're getting.
It's really hard to find results. One thing that didn't help us obviously was that Loop sold one for very, very, very cheap at the start of the year.
Okay.
Some things kind of go under the radar there.
For sure.
And so on and so forth. Otherwise, finding results on this specific ceramic watch, extremely difficult.
Well, there's one coming up for sale today or tomorrow at Antiquorum in a white ceramic case.
Correct.
What is the bidding already at? I think it was online. You could see it, or we don't know yet. The estimate was what, like 10 to 15?
I just know that when I went to go drop off my absentee bid, I was kind of like told that I was not in the game.
Oh, wow. and what was your absentee bid?
10,000.
Hammer. So that would have been around 14,000 all in.
Correct.
Right.
Swiss.
Yes. So no, it would have been 12.8 Swiss, so like $14. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I have to pay tax.
So presumably it'll be selling for more. We'll find out.
We will find out. I think it will be selling for a lot of money. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. I
see a lot of much excitement about a watch 2 days before a sale. It's never a good sign for me because I have no chance.
Right.
Because usually most of the action on watches, 80% of
happens at the sale,
or like in the last minute or whatever.
Right.
And if you like ask anybody who runs online sales, like Loop
all the bidding happens right at the end. We were
80 to 90%.
I was looking to bid on a Paul Newman 6239 Daytona they just recently had, and the bid was sitting on under 150,000 hammer for the longest time, and then the last few minutes it shot up, and I was out of the
180 hammer or something.
No, I think it was like 180 something all in. The last minute priced me out. So, anyways, thank you so much for showing these. You got some fantastic stuff. I think the one watch we didn't talk about is the Royal Oak. What is this? 25554 or 25654?
So the
first series gold. Just quickly show it with the first series MK1 dial. Beautiful watch. Personal anecdote, I think, and I've talked about it on video a lot. A great time if you are interested in these watches to get into them.
It is the worst time to sell it. It is the best time to buy it.
Sorry for you. I don't know where you're into the watch.
I feel like, again, like I just was saying, like, I didn't buy everything. I bought some things at the peak. I'm going to be losing a considerable amount of money on that watch. But that's life.
Somebody's going to get it at a good price point that they couldn't have afforded before,
Correct.
Because the prices have fallen.
It's not afforded, but just didn't want to pay.
Didn't want to pay. Yeah,
didn't want to pay like high 100s, and now it's a low 100s watch, which is painful for me because, in all honesty, I paid $165,000 for this watch, including the service.
And what are you going to be listing it for?
It is listed on the site for $115,000.
Wow.
So that's a cool $50,000 loss.
Right.
But I can't always make money on everything.
No,
and at the same time,
it's a big misconception in the industry. That you make money on every
And if you're not getting a deal at some point or during one of those waves where the market is a bit down or cooled off, then it's not even enjoyable. Like, I think it's an enjoyable hobby because there's going to be years where the mood is down, but it actually turns into an opportunity because you can buy stuff for like a lot better than you could have before. And
everybody knows I'm huge fans of these watches in all configurations, the 80s and 90s Royal Oak Perpetuals, because you get a Royal Oak jumbo size with perpetual calendar. The value there is absolutely insane, in my opinion. So sorry for Sacha and his massive monetary loss, but hopefully the person who buys this from you will enjoy it and they get it at a cheaper price point than they would have a year or so ago.
People are always happy to hear that I'm losing money.
I'm not. I'm sorry you're losing money. So
buyers are like, oh wait, that's all you're losing?
So we're gonna close this box. Thank you for showing these watches. As always, we will link his information in the description below. If you are interested in any of the watches, you could contact him through his website or on Instagram. It sounds like most of them are already listed, or at least will be by the time this video goes live. Hopefully some are still available because there are some fantastic pieces there. So the last topic that Sacha recommended we talk about was just general watch chatter, news chatter. We have a dog who's whining.
He's losing patience.
I guess we could talk about just, after we just closed out the first day of auctions yesterday, which was just Phillips, their first session, how it seems the mood is like, what the results were like, and in general, how the market's feeling. I just released a video today on YouTube about going over the results of Monaco Legend Group and talking about the watch market as a whole.
Yes.
It seems that prices have cooled off on a lot of things, have remained strong on a lot of things.
Yes.
It's kind of all over the place. For me, it gives me a feeling that a lot of purchases now are way more passion driven, which is great. There's not a lot of speculation in the market. No. People aren't willing to speculate on a 5711 continuing to rise 10% every month. It's more of, am I liking what I'm buying? Do I actually want this watch?
Yes.
And people paying a price that they feel is appropriate to actually wear, not just immediately think to flip it.
Even me as a dealer, I am not buying with like a client in mind or like this is like blah blah. I'm really buying stuff that I find special or cool, or I'm enjoying this a lot more than I was like a couple of years ago. And I think that the results at Phillips are non-telling of the mood, because if you were watching or if you were in the room or if you see kind of like how they struggled to like coax bids, the result might not be as telling as one would expect. Also, their estimates are so low that of course they're going to be doing something that like, oh, they did well on that. They're estimated 100 to 200 and they did like 250. Meanwhile, the watches are trading on the market for 350 or like are asking around 350. And so it wasn't a great result. So some of the results you have to kind of dig deeper.
Yeah. You also have to dig deeper on sometimes the watch's condition, So there were like 3 results that stood out in my mind that I could remember now off the top of my head. For example, they had a 6263 Daytona that sold for strong money. Apparently it was excellent condition. Just goes to show you that like 4-digit Daytonas, if they're excellent, they're still going to sell well.
Bigger one?
Yeah, I thought it was extremely high.
Was 60 hammer?
Something like that, yeah. Just a regular 6263 Pan-Beta Daytona.
I was very surprised by that result.
Yeah. So, and then 2 results that I thought were great deals for end users if it ended up with an end user, and I hope they did. There was a 2526. But it was a white metal 2526, apparently in spectacular condition. I didn't get a chance to go to the preview, so I didn't see it, but I heard it was spectacular. That hammered around 170, which I think should have been higher. So if an end user got that watch, they got a great deal. And then there was a 2499 3rd Series Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar Chronograph co-signed by Bayer that hammered for 690,000 Swiss. For me, that's more of a 900 to 950,000 watch. So after fees, you're in it probably the mid sevens, right? Or closer to 800,000. So not a crazy, low result, but I thought a great deal for somebody if they bought it for their risk, because it certainly, I felt, should have been a little higher.
There was a 3970P that sold for 90 hammer.
Right. So,
which I thought was
it was low, but I also understood that because it's like the most boring variation of that watch.
Yeah, but it wasn't one that you were touching under like 100 and something.
Yeah, it was a 120K watch retail on the open market. I thought that was, again, a good deal for an end buyer if they bought it. If a dealer bought it, maybe they could squeeze out a small profit.
Yes.
If it was a black dial that sold for that, I would tend to agree it was a low result.
No, there was a black dial that sold for more.
Yeah, so, for me that was just that's the most like vanilla, boring example of that watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were traditionally selling higher. We have a dog whining. We'll wrap this up soon, I promise. It'll be interesting to see what happens today for the rest of the sale. I think we'll generally do.
I'm so sorry. Hold on.
Marley, I'll close this out for everybody. I think it'll be interesting to see how Antiquorum and Phillips ends up today, and then carrying through to Sotheby's and Christie's. Yeah, take her for a walk. Thanks for joining us, Sacha. It's a he. Sorry, he. we'll see how the rest of the results go. As for right now, I haven't seen any results that it's like, oh my God, the world's on fire, the market's dead or anything like that. I think we're just seeing, you know, a correction occurring in the market, what we've been seeing now for a year. It's nothing new. I'm hopeful and I'm confident that it's bringing a lot more people back into the fold who are more passion driven, which is always a good thing. People are buying watches because they absolutely love them.
Yes.
And I see a lot more collectors now willing to more come out to gatherings, join WhatsApp chats, and really, you know, feeling proud and excited about watches again, and not just worrying about whether their modern Patek or Nautilus or Royal Oak is going to continue to appreciate or depreciate. They actually care about the watches again, and it's not so much about the money aspect of it all, you know, in terms of appreciation or depreciation.
I think we're getting back into the hobby.
Yeah.
And less into the speculation. And I think it's going to be a lot more fun going on because we're going to be able to then buy again special watches like we just showed. And people will be yet again interested in being like, oh, wow, that's actually really cool. Or like, oh, I've never seen that before or whatever. And out of that phase of like everybody buying the same watches all over the place and those like same like 5 references going crazy. Yeah. So I'm actually looking forward to the coming months and year.
Yeah. Hoping to be able to buy some watches today.
And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen at Antiquorum and Phillips today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, Monaco Legend Group had a really strong sale. Phillips had a good start. I think, like we just said, some of the results were underwhelming. Some were on par. Some were very high. We'll see how the rest goes. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this, and we'll see you the next time we catch up with the Davidoff brothers, I guess in May, in Geneva. All right, well, he left to go walk the dog. See you guys later. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It's always a pleasure to visit the Davidoff brothers in their shop. If you are ever in Geneva, feel free to make an appointment to go visit him. His information will be in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you can, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, anything you can do to help us out. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.